What is up, everybody? It's the Inhuman one here, and today we're going to be discussing if Little Nightmares as a series is over, and will there be a Little Nightmares 3? So what we're going to do is just kind of go back to the first chapter, and so I can kind of have some gameplay footage in the background, but this is not a playthrough. This is more so just a quick discussion on if we think there will be another installment in the Little Nightmares series. As you may know, the developer Tarsier Studios has been bought out by another, a bigger publisher. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they have announced, I think it's called the Embracer Group or something like that, but the Embracer Group did make a public or official comment stating that Tarsier Studios would be focusing on new IPs. So that in and of itself means that they would not be focusing on another Little Nightmares game. What that doesn't mean, and what that doesn't clarify, is if the Embracer Group will try to find another developer that can kind of enhance or extend the universe of the Little Nightmares series. So, just because Tarsier Studios, the original, I think they're Swedish, developer, wouldn't be working on it, it doesn't mean that there couldn't be any additional games or titles that share, the same universe. But if there was to be a third game, what do you think it would be? First and foremost, I think the most important question would be, would it be a prequel or a sequel? Now, I think based on the information that we have seen in the previous two installments for Little Nightmares 1 and 2, and even Very Little Nightmares, we know that Tarsier Studios really does like their their prequels. Little Nightmares 1 obviously just was surrounded by all kinds of, I would say, mystery and the world that it had created, with Six and the mall, run by the lady and all that. So that was incredibly interesting. I hit his foot, yes. The other part that I think is interesting is Very Little Nightmares, which I personally have not played myself. I took a little hiatus from Little Nightmares and started pursuing different lore on my channel long after 2017 hit and the game came out. I had done some of the first videos of the lore for the series, and my channel kind of experienced quite a bit of growth, and I just kind of started going in different directions just so I could see what other successes I could experience on my channel. So I got kind of burnt out on Little Nightmares, and simply put, and I did not play Very Little Nightmares. I saw the announcement, and then when I realized it was a mobile game, because of the technological limitations that I have and some of the issues that I always am plagued with by my capture card and things like that, I didn't even try to play. I was like, I'm not going to figure out how to catch it on a mobile, or definitely not going to trust my PC to run it. So I decided to not play it. And so that was a big piece of the nice little kind of chunk of lore that I missed out on. But all in all, what it turns out to be is a prequel, or a kind of side story that kind of shows it took place, I'd say, before the events of the mall, and it even takes place with an entirely different character. So Tarsier Studios likes their prequels. That's definitely sure for certain. Another thing is this game also has its own, I guess, fair share of prequelness to it, right? Because many people initially, and somehow they still believe that it's actually up for debate, but this game seems to be very clearly a prequel in itself, because it shows how Six actually found herself in the mall, or what events led up to her decision to go to the mall. So this game is also a prequel. I know that Tarsier Studios and whoever else isn't going to go out and officially say it, but if you've experienced the game for yourself, if you've really actually dived into the lore and not just jumped on the bandwagons of some of the new people doing lore or trying to do theories or what have you, this game is a prequel, and it was something that I had indicated or called out on the initial trailer, because there are certain things that just seemed out of place. So if there was a third game, would it be another prequel? If so, if it was another prequel, what would it kind of entail? What would it be? What would it be about? Would it be about Mono's previous adventures of how he arrived in the wilderness? Would it be a story about another child, perhaps? There's just so many possible, I guess possibilities, right, of what could actually take place. And here I know how to actually progress forward. I'm just looking around. This is different. But anyways, I have never gone here. Anyways, when it comes down to the prequel or oh my gosh, that's creepy. Prequel or sequel nature of things. It's really interesting to see, like, what would it be, right? So let's go ahead and think, if it's a prequel, what else could it be about? Could it be about how 6 was captured? So the events that took place after Little Nightmares 2, what happened from that time when she actually escaped the signal tower and then was captured by the ferryman and brought to the mall? Those events that take place there would be incredibly interesting to explore. And I think that the comics kind of allude to the fact that she was indeed captured by the ferryman, or the ferryman. So it's really interesting to see, like, what exactly would the game entail if it was a prequel, right? If it is a true sequel, meaning taking place after the events of Little Nightmares, the first one, which is the latest in the timeline. At this point in time, spoilers, of course. 6 has destroyed the lady and consumed her power. So she now has all this power and the ability to consume life or absorb souls. So if that's the case, what would happen after that? Do we show how 6, a young child, becomes an adult, and it shows the progression of becoming a monstrous adult in this world of Little Nightmares? So now you have all these ultimate ability to go ahead and take life, and now what? She, as an adult in this world, it seems like you have to stake your claim, and you have to oppress others and feed off of others' fear, and literally off of their own flesh, right? So many of these adults are they eat flesh, or they kill people, or they do something, right? But they always pervert something that is normal, like teachers and doctors and hunters, and they make it to something incredibly terrible and grotesque. This area is really cool, and I did not know that glitching remain was there. So as a side note, this is how you get the first glitching remain, and that looks so cool to me. I wonder if I could pull it. No, I can't, but it almost reminds me of like a bonfire, like in Dark Souls. I don't know why, but like the sword just again. But I wish it was on fire or something, but it's not. That's a really cool scene, by the way. But anyways, if it was a sequel, would it take place after the mall, and would it show how 6 becomes an adult, and uses her power to just kind of oppress others as she was oppressed, right? Kind of just continuing that endless cycle of just pain and agony. Or would it be a sequel where after the events, maybe she does have to go back, and she leaves the mall and she goes back to the Pale City, whether it be to use her newfound powers to destroy the being that is kind of creating the extra dimensional world inside of the signal tower, or what? Who knows? There's going to be some videos on that as well that I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do maybe 2 more Little Nightmares videos before I go ahead and put it back on the shelf. So the first one will be nice little kind of Easter eggs and things of that nature, and then the last one will be me going out with a bang, just doing my last theory, trying to answer some of the biggest questions of the series. And I think after that I'll probably call it quits and move on to Dead Cells. I know you guys have been waiting patiently for that. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. If it's a sequel, there's not really a lot to go off of other than showing 6 in her adulthood or maturing into an adult. Or, again, it could go the other route if it's a prequel, and it'd be technically in the timeline, it'd be between this game, so between Little Nightmares 2 and the first installment, where it would show how 6 escaped the signal tower and was captured by the ferryman. But anyways, what do you guys think? What are some possible scenarios or premises that a third installment could have? And if it's not a major installment, right, like a Little Nightmares 3, for example, what would it be if it was a kind of a spin-off? Would it be kind of recreating the events, that occur in some of the comic books? You know, would it be showing, you know, some of the stories of the children, like the little fat boy with the lollipop, the girl with the pigtail ears, you know, the pigtail ears, the pigtails. I mean, there's so many different opportunities there that they could flesh out the stories of some of these comic books, because some of them are so damn ambiguous. Like you have to really be theorizing and putting together smallest details. Another thing is, would it be exploring some of the other monsters or some of the other, I'd say, adults, right, in this world? There's just so many opportunities, because what they've done in the 2 games is they've created an entire world that is just corrupt and evil. A city that's being corrupted by a kind of an evil broadcast that's being transmitted, and then you have the mall, which is using, you know, I guess, the greed of the people from these very lands and actually using them to consume themselves. So it's like an endless cycle of just chaos and violence, and it's just strange universe that they've kind of put together. So it would be a shame if they didn't expand on the universe, but at the same time, I would personally say that I do not want a 3rd game to be created unless Tarsier Studios was directing it or had full creative powers over it. If it's being handled by a different studio or different developer, my personal opinion would be, hey, let's just call it quits, because you've ended on a great note with the 1st game and the 2nd game not only being successful monetarily and from a financial standpoint, but also you've kind of created a loop that not only answers questions that the 1st game asked, and then not only that, but this game is now asking questions that the 2nd game asked, and it's just a cycle of questions and answers and infinite theories that can be produced, and that's because it's just been designed so well. There's so many pieces of information that are given to us, even though this game has absolutely no dialogue, and at the same time, there's so many questions and mysteries that we're looking to solve. So I think that it's really interesting, and I would love for it to stay untainted and just have the 3 installments that it has: Little Nightmares, Very Little Nightmares, and Little Nightmares 2. I think I'd be able to sleep and live happily ever after if they didn't taint that. The only reason I'd be okay with the Little Nightmares 3 is if Tarsier Studios came back and developed it, and they had full creative powers over it, and they weren't being told what to do or how to do it by the Embracer Group, the new publisher that kind of bought them out. So in the end, I don't know. What do you guys think? You know, do you think there should be a 3rd game? If so, what do you think it will be about? You know, I'm really interested to see what you guys think, and I hope that you guys have checked out my video regarding those scribblings on the wall. Isn't it funny how the one on the far right looks as if he's falling down? Spoiler alert. Mono falls down from a really, really great height, if you remember the events at the very end of the game. So today I took you back to your worst childhood nightmare. Today, we asked the question, is Little Nightmares over? Will there be a Little Nightmares 3? Today, I streamed Little Nightmares 2, and I really challenge you to think about it. What the fuck have you done lately? It's the Inhuman one, signing out. I'll catch you guys next time.